Pakistan, they seem to be very threatening and very dangerous, and China supporting them is actually quite disturbing as they have no real reason to do so. So I wonder what you would suggest we do, Mr. President.
I would like to think that our nuclear weapons ensure that we will not see any direct military action from China or Pakistan, but we cannot count on that. I think that we needed to continue to grow our economic and political ties with other nations. Russia is proving to be a good friend, as is Brazil. So we just need to continue to make other friends in Asia and through the world who will support us politically, economically, and militarily. If we can surround ourselves with a large enough diplomatic alliance sphere, I think it would ensure that there will be no actual hostile action taken. Hello. There's a representative from China. What can I do for you?
This is the representative from the Chinese Democratic League. I have walked all the way across the border, all the way to Delhi, and we wish to. Sorry.
A long walk. Can I get you some water?
Quite the walk.
Someone get this man a bottle of water.
I had to do it in secrecy. No CCP can know that I'm here. But my presence here is due to the fact that my government is currently supporting a nation that, frankly, my party can't support, if that makes sense.
Indeed.
We are my supporters. Sorry, are very wary of the fact that the Japanese airlines was shot down over Pakistan.
A tragedy.
They fear that they can't travel freely through China. So we were wondering if India would be willing to assist our party in enacting certain reforms within China.
Unfortunately, India is not in the business of taking action to change the politics of another nation, even one that's been aggressive like China. I am so sorry to say that you walked all this distance only to have us be unable to help you. If you are able to make the reforms in your country that allows you to come to power, we would be more than willing to cooperate with you in any way that you would like. But India maintains her unwillingness to involve herself in the affairs, the political affairs of foreign governments. We are not the Americans. We will not be a nation that does such things.
Unfortunately, we do understand. In that case, do you mind booking me a train ticket back to China?
Since you came all this way, I'd be happy to provide a government jet to take you back to Beijing.
Thank you very much.
Of course, absolutely. I'm sorry that I can't do more for you, but again, you must understand that this is just something that our government's unwilling and unable to do.
We understand, and perhaps maybe in the future, once our party gains...
If you come to power in China, we will love to work with you and your party.
Of course. Well, thank you.
Thank you for your time. Pakistan is beginning to shell our positions.
Yes.
Vice President, how should we respond? They have provocated time and time again, but I am so wary to fight or escalate a situation with a nuclear power.
We could commit an airstrike on these positions where they're shelling us from. It's self-defense.
It would be an escalation. I think this is a good opportunity to approach the Chinese and ask them to see if they can get their Pakistani allies to stand down here, as I do have some hope that China still has a semblance of hope to not cause a war here. Vice President, what are your thoughts?
Yes, if we stay peaceful while we're being, how would you say it?
Aggressed against?
Yeah.
Okay, let me...
it will show our true intentions.
I would ask, can you put out a formal statement from our government that we will not respond to the shelling and will take no military action here, as we are committed to peace? Can you put out a statement right now, Vice President?
I can.
Thank you. I'm going to head to Beijing and speak with the Chinese government and see if they can take action here. This is Vajpayee of India. We are currently being shelled without provocation by Pakistan, and we'd like to ask the Chinese government to see if you can get Islamabad to stand down here. We will not respond to the shelling in kind until a member of our service members died, but every day that grows more likely. China, which claims to be a great diplomatic power, has close ties with Pakistan, for better or worse. And we would ask that you use that influence to get them to stand down
Yes.
from
I will.
further hostility, which we've seen so many times.
Well,
We would also urge the chairman to do this as well.
Yes, we are going to do this once I find where they are.
Thank you. I hope that you can make them see reason. Again, we will respond as soon as an Indian service member dies, but until then, we will not respond.
The UN is finished, and a resolution was passed for a complete demilitarization of the borders of
At this time, unfortunately, we will not be able to comply due to the fact that we are being shelled, and our troops can't move while we are being shelled by the Pakistanis.
Wait, let me finish. We did go to Pakistan, and we first did ask them to stop this. As a partner, we did, of course, try to stop them. Of course, they did not. But we were just wondering, just for the record, if Pakistan would have demilitarized the border, would you have as well, for the record?
Yes. Once they stop firing on our troops, we would be happy to move ours. We would also need, in writing, the willingness not to violate our airspace again.
Yes, that was, of course, that was implied in the demilitarization, that we did go and ask, but they have unfortunately denied. But just for the record, you agreed to demilitarize, they did not.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
All right, statement from Pakistan. We will stop the shelling now. This was done as retaliation of shooting down our debt. However, we will continue these flyovers over Kashmir until a solution is reached. All right, they've said never fly over. Let's shoot down another jet.
Mr. Vapaye, I think
President Musharraf.
I think we have to talk.
I hope it'll be more fruitful than our last one.
This continuous escalations need to stop. We are both a nuclear state, and I don't want this to see evolve into a nuclear war.
And this is something that we've been saying for quite some time. You know very well that you cannot simply fly into another nation's airspace and expect nothing to happen. So why do you continue to do it? Do you think we take any joy in killing your men and women? We do not.
I believe the question of Kashmir should be resolved right now. Of course, we did this to underscore our claim on Kashmir, and we will continue to press this claim, but for now we will stop the flyovers with our jets over Kashmir to...
That is wonderful to hear. Then, as usual, India will take no aggressive action, as we have never done, and as long as you do not aggress against us, no action will be taken.
Of course, though, as a second jet got shut down, the military is pressing for retaliation, so I would ask...
Do you think I have not had generals in my office for the last weeks asking me to take further action, which I've said no? The only action I've taken is defensive. When you violate our airspace, I have no choice but to respond. I have been asked repeatedly to do targeted strikes on your positions, and I have refused them.
We can do this. I will prepare a statement right after this meeting that we're gonna stop the flyovers for now, and we are, well, basically keep the status quo.
It's good to hear. The less of our people that die in this pointless aggression, the better.
I can't tell for right now because I'm not willing to drop the claim on Kashmir and Ladakh. I'm simply not willing to do that, Mr. Vapaye, but I'm willing to keep tensions on a low point.
That is something, at least. We are going to start to work on heavily more industrialization within our country. It's time to really start to, I think, speed up the process of developing our economy. I hope you agree.
I agree. I do.
Right. Let's start to build our own automotive industry. We'll make that our primary goal over the next period of time.
Hello, how are you doing?
Quite better now that the Pakistanis have decided to stand down. Thank God.
Good, I am happy to hear that. Peaceful resolution is the best resolution.
You know we agree with you. What can I do for you?
I wanted to talk to you as another BRICS member and as in a growing economy in the world. Where is your current stance on the United States conflict?
To be frank with you, we wish to stay entirely out of it. We really hope that the communists do not gain power, of course, as we have our own communists within India who we view as, frankly, a very dangerous element. But we will not willing to get involved in the political doings of other countries. What is the position of the Brazilian government?
It's a really sensitive topic, as you know. Latin America has always fought against, democracy, communism, political changes. The majority of them brought on by the United States.
It's a very dangerous situation. If support was thrown behind one group and the other one won, that could be very dangerous, which is why India wants to stay out of it. But frankly, we have the convenience of not being so close to the conflict.
The only issue that I have is I'm concerned with because they are a radical government.
Indeed.
They are overthrowing, and they are going to get their hands on the American nuclear arsenal.
This is President Vajpayee of India.
Yes, yes. We've tried to talk to Pakistan, but alas...
We had our own discussions with them, and they have to agree to stand down after we shot down 2 of their jets over the Kashmir region.
Yes, I was just reading about that in the newspaper, actually.
We have had an easing of tensions finally with Pakistan, but I wanted to try and have one last talk with the Chinese government to see if we could try and move past all of this. I mean, the actions you have taken in support of what is now, as all the world can clearly see, the aggression of Pakistan, is very disturbing to us. You had no reason to do it. You gave no reason in the last talk. But you are a BRIC member. You do share a border with India. And as developing nations, we would still... And let me make this clear. This will be my last attempt to cooperate with your government. To try and see if we can find a way to move past this.
We have, not to raise tensions, we have demilitarized well, for the most part, demilitarized Nib, if not but all of
we
the
noticed that, and we are glad to
borders.
see that you have also pulled off the borders, as we did. I want to reiterate the fact that India has no major issues with you. I mean,
Yes.
we hold the Kashmir, and we will hold the Kashmir, and that is set in stone. We have no issues with China. You are a BRIC member. We've cooperated heavily in the past, and I know we have some differences, but India has never had hostile relations towards you. The only one who has made hostile acts has been, frankly, your country with your support of Pakistan.
If we can move past this, then like I said, yes, we can improve and keep a relatively positive relations with one another. That means we are willing to we agree to your wanting to fix relations.
In that case, I would like to discuss the possibility of a former treaty demilitarizing our border areas.
I thought
Yes.
it already was.
We
Sorry?
I thought it already was.
Well,
We don't
I
have
mean,
anything
after the
to-
troops put on the border by China, if there was one in the past that was broken, then we obviously put troops on the border, so that if there was a treaty in the past, it is obviously no longer legitimate, so we would need to, I think, build a new one.
Yes, we are willing to build a new one to ensure that this does not happen again.
Indeed. I would also like, not in writing, but assurances from your government that in the future, you do not support nations that are taking hostile actions against India if there is no valid reason for it.
Yeah, you have my agreement.
Good. In that case, I hope that a de-escalation of tensions between China and India can result in more fruitful cooperation in the future. It'll take a lot of time for my nation to frankly be even remotely interested in economic ties, political ties, or anything else after recent events, but at the very least, neutral relations is a good place to start. I hope you agree.
Yes, I hope so as well.
Alright, so we're in a pretty good position right now. We have rising tensions with Pakistanis who contended Kashmir as, you know, no surprises there, but they stood down. We've cooled off relations with China, which means that BRICS should become a lot stronger. And our development is going really well. We have a lot of international investment coming in, which has resulted in our economy going up very quickly, which is wonderful. We are going to be pursuing an automotive industry, which will be our biggest priority. Oh, they're going to do a war on terror? Jesus. So, all things considered, we're doing really well right now. We still have to do a lot of industrialization. We have to modernize our military, but, you know, we're making really good progress. I'm going to put out a news article. We're going to perform the Bougie Pajan at the temple, because it is about to open. It's a Hindu religious ceremony to basically consecrate a new temple, where you invite the gods in. I think it would be a good idea to increase police funding. We need more stability. Obviously, our country is in a lot of internal chaos after, obviously, the religious issues are popping up after the proclamation of the Ramajir temple, and then the border conflict in Kashmir, so I think that we need to increase our police presence on the ground. Perhaps we could get the brown shirts to help out a bit with that as well, because they always stand ready to ensure that the Hindu people are not aggressed by the Muslims. Lower demand for Indian goods abroad. That's not good. That's going to reduce our economic cycle. Yeah, we're out of our economic boom now. That's unfortunate. There's been a bit of a lapse in our economic boom in India. Anyway, all good things have to come to an end, and it appears that our economic boom has slowed down. I would love to put the power of the government, political power, and focus of our government behind trying to improve the economy at all costs. But at this point, I think that it's time for us to do some major reforms to the education of India. Illiteracy is still a massive issue in our country. Although the cities project this picture in some ways of us being modernized in some ways, that is not an accurate picture. The large regions of our country, especially the rural ones with the agrarian farmers, suffer from widespread illiteracy, as the quality of schools are almost non-existent. So it is time for us to begin those great reforms. Well, we are all gathered here today for the second BRICS meeting. I apologize, BRIC meeting. The S doesn't exist right now. I'm very glad that we can all meet here today under much better circumstances. I am very happy to say that the Pakistani crisis has been de-escalated after the Pakistanis finally stopped their aggression, and India is happy to announce much better relations and a demilitarized border with the Beijing government, which is very pleasing to us. I also see that Russia's economy has bounced back very strongly, so I'd like to congratulate the representative from Russia here today, though I know Putin is busy speaking with NATO, so he cannot make it.
Saudi Arabia and Korea might join?
There is currently a situation going on in the Middle East, and we would at least
due to the situation in Iraq, obviously Saudi Arabian membership cannot be entertained at this time, at least as far as the Republic of India is concerned.
South Korean, I believe, could still be on the table.
Yes.
That's true.
As Brazil, we have a very close ties with South Korea.
As does the Republic of India.
We would also like to put across, if we're going to invite South Korea because of the talks of peaceful negotiation, will BRICS allow North Korea to join? It seems only fair that if you're going to have South Korea to join, why not have North Korea as well?
Until we see regime change in that government, the Republic of India cannot support North Korea joining into the BRIC agreement.
Well,
we
can't allow South Korea to join either.
South Korea is a government committed to economic ties and is a democratic nation, one that is acting in good faith. North Korea is still a dictatorship. I suppose at this point, India would formally call a roll call vote to suggest South Korea is entering into the BRIC agreement, and we would like to start off by voting yes. With 3-4 and 1 abstention, South Korea will be formally offered entry into the BRIC agreement, thus making it the BRICS agreement if they choose to accept. I suppose we will conclude the second BRICS, I apologize now, meeting. So thank you for coming here today, gentlemen. Anyway, we are gathered here today for peace talks, as I believe that after the declaration of war from Pakistan, they are now interested in standing down, I believe, or am I incorrect in that matter? And we did formally request that Moscow oversee this peace summit, so I would hope that Mr. Putin would be willing to obviously act as a mediator here, because it can be difficult to communicate with the warmongers in Pakistan, to be very frank.
First off, I want to ask the Indian delegation to not call us warmongers. We only reacted in self-defense.
Remind me how many times you've declared war on my nation.
Remind me how many times you oppressed the people in Kashmir.
But delegates, this is not about the past, it's looking to the future. I ask we resolve the current tensions rather than bringing back old wounds.
And yes, it was a move of self-defense because Indian intelligence has armed the Baluchistan nationalists.
We're not even going to acknowledge that. There's no proof behind us. We won't even acknowledge that. We're not going to. We're not going to even discuss that with you. It's insulting.
People, I must ask again, respectfully, not to shout over each other. Obviously, and break down the civility of these discussions. I would ask the Indian delegate to make his condition for peace first.
My conditions for peace are reparation to the families that were slaughtered by your first strike, and in addition, we would like a formal public international apology for your crimes here.
Peace.
We are willing to de-escalate, but we are not willing to apologize for those attacks because they were done in self-defense.
Would you be willing to compensate the Indians for the casualties that were inflicted upon them by your attack?
Yes, but only for.
We would be willing to change it to you need to apologize to the families of those you killed, not to India. That is an absolute condition needed at the very least.
That is acceptable to us. Yes.
To confirm the terms. Pakistan will apologize to India of the civilian deaths inflicted by their attacks, and Pakistan will provide 4 civilian factories to India for 4 years. Gentlemen, I believe we have come to an agreement. I thank you all for indulging in peace over war, and I hope that this will be the beginning of better relations between the great republics of India and Pakistan.
That's great.
I'm not sure if you saw, but the Chinese did put troops on our border, which means they have broken a formal treaty with us, so I'm going to go talk with them right now.
They're not on there anymore, are they?
Nope, but they broke it by putting troops on the border, so we have to go talk with them. I need to speak with
hello.
Chairman Zemin.
Well, Zemin has been cooed, so
Who am I currently speaking with?
Hu Jintao.
Ah, Chairman Jintao. Oh, I would like to make this very simple. You broke a treaty we previously made with you by putting troops on our border.
I am discussing that with the military. We had them on the Pakistani border.
No, you put them on our border on 3 separate places as far as we could see. That is...
No, we put them all there just to guarantee it. Once the peace treaty was signed, we moved them
Regardless,
off.
it was a formal breaking of a treaty you signed with my government.
We announced that due to rising tensions...
Regardless of your reasoning, you broke a treaty with my nation.
They are off the border.
We believe the army may have to be dealt with due to they may have done this as a state when the coup happened. They may.
I'm not sure about China, but India takes her formal agreements with different nations very seriously. And we expect China to do the same if we want to negotiate in good peace in the future.
Unfortunately, that agreement was signed under the last...
that agreement is being reinforced by the new government.
So you will not even respect the treaties of a previous administration in your country?
Previous
We
administration
will.
did not respect it.
We will be respecting it. Anyone else who has a disagreement with this will find themselves sacked. You will respect the agreement. End of.
Am I negotiating with the Chinese government right now? Because frankly, I don't even know who I'm talking to here.
Yes, you are negotiating with me. The army has shown itself to be somewhat not towing the line.
You can't
that
keep
it
your
was
army
dealt
in
with.
control? Is that what you're saying, Chairman?
They are going to be brought into control and they will be punished for breaking the original treaty.
I certainly
as
hope
I've
so.
already-
We need to see you respect your agreements, because if you don't, we cannot negotiate with your government, period. I had hoped we had made steps to begin to ease relations between India and China, but if this continues, we are going to completely reevaluate that, Chairman.
We're going to give you an investment of around 7 civs as a reparations for the disgraceful behavior.
Let's go up 9. You broke a major treaty with the largest neighbor. 9 civs is what we would ask for.
Yes, we can give you 9.
In addition, we would like a public apology from the Chinese government regarding the breaking of that treaty.
Yes, we will give a formal apology to the Indian government.
If you can do both of those things, we will continue to honor our treaty. We would like a re-signing of that treaty, though, as we do not feel that the old one currently exists due to it being broken.
Yes, we will agree to that.
In that case, I hope we can put this behind us. But in the future, we would ask that at the very least, try to approach my government before making such rash decisions, and that you keep your military in line, Chairman.
Yes, I'm already going to be taking steps to make sure they do not break rank again.
Good. In that case, we wait for the public statement and for the promised reparations. Is there anything else I can do for you today, Chairman?
No, since you've avoided war with Pakistan, we would also like to inform you that we no longer fully support Pakistan due to its outrageous behavior.
Good. They backed up there into the 9 civs as reparations, breaking a major military alliance with us, or military treaty, I should say. I have a suggestion here, gentlemen. I have a suggestion. The BRIC economic grouping is primarily economic, but as we all know, politics weighs heavily on economic ties. I would suggest a meeting of the BRIC leadership, as I know Brazil, I'm sure, will be backing this, to discuss with NATO this situation, as it does begin to impact our economic situation. Hopefully, cooler heads representing India, China, Russia, and Brazil in talks with NATO will be able to alleviate these issues.
Is India suggesting a formation of a more formal alliance between the BRIC members?
Given recent events, we are formally suggesting this.
The Russian government is very open to these propositions.
Finalize what we're going to do with BRICS, and then move on to potentially and open.
India is suggesting the creating of a political aspect of the BRICS agreement. In the past, it has been only economic. An attempt to develop the nations of the world which are not aligned with the West and that have had to look after each other given the predatory investment we've received from Europe and the United States in the past. And as such, we've created an economic zone wherein we can help each other develop. Given the fact that NATO is now trying to polarize the world and trying to become much more hostile to such actors as Russia, and gave no support to India during our aggression from Pakistan, and was completely silent on Saudi, and with the loss of US leadership given their civil war, we think that it is necessary for the BRICS agreement to have a political aspect. We are not looking for a EU system. We are not looking for a NATO system. We could debate the possibility of a mutual defense alliance, but we are more thinking a political element wherein we could represent all of our nations' interest in a unified front. India, China, Russia, and Brazil and South Korea individually talking for themselves has some credence. But when we come as a united front with an organization representing our beliefs, we will give it more credibility and more say in international affairs. It will allow all of our nations to be able to exercise their political opinions to a higher degree. That is what we're suggesting.
The Russian Federation supports these actions. We believe that standing alone, the Western nations, particularly nation members of NATO, feel they can bully our nations or ignore us. I believe that as united and strong in an organization that can represent all our interests, we can stand up to NATO and make our point be heard on the international stage.
China would agree in that this would be a purely defensive one.
Of course, we would take no foreign. I want to debate that separately. A defensive agreement we can discuss after, but what I'm proposing right now is only a political element and a politically unified voice for BRICS.
The Brazilian people are very proud people, and though our political agreement lies, we are a democracy that believes in what the people vote to say. We are the last bastion, true bastion of democracy in the America.
It's true.
And we pride ourselves as such. We agree that a defensive pact would probably be beneficial in today's world, with the polarization of the European Union and NATO against the rest of the world, as well as what is going on in America, as well as Mexico. I think it's in our best interest as emerging nations to stay together.
In that case, with unanimous consent for both proposals, gentlemen, today we are agreeing upon a new era for the BRICS nations, a new era for BRICS itself, and a new era for global politics, as we will have our opinions known, our economies known, and our feelings not just heard, but rather respected. I thank you all for these agreements. The UN calls upon the speaker from Russia.
Thank you there. Greeting members of the United Nations. The Russians' main concern over is again to bring up the topic of NATO. I find it extremely laughable that the German government would dare claim that their NATO expansion is to counter Turkish aggression. I fail to see how Estonia is threatened in any way by Turkey's actions within the Middle East. This is clearly a distraction, a smokescreen to hide their true intentions, which is to escalate conflict and assume a new European domination and Germanic rule over Europe. The agreement that was made between the Russian government and the German government were between not expanding NATO any further eastwards, and we believe that would be a national security threat to Russia. They agreed on claiming they were representing all of NATO. However, it turned out that they were lying to the Russian government and were in fact not the official leaders of NATO at the time. They then claimed they were the official leaders of NATO during January 2003. However, again, when the Russian government asked for comment after they broke their agreement and expanded into the Baltic and Balkans, they claimed we found out they were in the middle of a leadership election. In fact, had lied again and saying they were head of NATO. I'm unsure who is now currently leading NATO, but I do dearly hope it's not the German government, as they have consistently lied, broken agreements, and made personal insults towards the Russian delegation. It is we are rather concerned if NATO is led by the German government. We are rather concerned to the mental fitness of the German leadership to effectively run NATO, as they seem intent on driving NATO to a war with the East. And Russia has made every single diplomatic overture possible towards NATO, which has been rejected at every opportunity. We have gotten neutral parties such as the Brazilian government to make diplomatic overtures, which again have been thoroughly rejected. It seems that NATO has no interest in actual peace and negotiations and cooperation within the world, and seeks to just assume their own dominance of Europe as they believe they have some sort of divine right. We would like to condemn NATO's further expansion and condemn the lies and broken agreements that they have continuously stomped on, and international treaties that they continue to violate with their continuing ruthless expansion of NATO. I thank you for your time.
Thank you. The UN calls upon the speaker from Pakistan.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Pakistan wants to clarify the situation that happened in India and Pakistan and Kashmir. Indian forces, or rather Indian special forces and intelligence have supplied the Balochistan nationalists in Pakistan to conduct this terrible terrorist attack that happened in Lahore. The world seems to be not aware of this, or at least tries to cover it up for some reason. We believe that Indian special service has far more reaching hands than initially anticipated. That is quite worrying to us. As well as Japan condemning Saudi Arabia and all other Muslim nations basically with this. This cannot stand. We are not standing for this, and Japan seems to have forgotten their horrible past in World War II and go back to their vile fascist worldview. Pakistan also wants to announce its modernization of its army to counter the still looming threat of India, and also the expansion of the nuclear program we have. That is all I have today for you. Thank you.
Thank you. The UN acknowledges the speaker from China.
Yes, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish to bring a few things to the matter occasion. Number one is the PRC will condemn the Saudi Arabian occupation of Yemen. There will be a UNSC, United Security Council vote on whether we economically embargo or sanction the nation of Saudi Arabia for, frankly, imperialism in the Arabian Peninsula. Secondly, China would like to announce that it is going to be performing a more greener outlook. We will be expanding the possibilities of joining the pledge to help combat climate change. And thirdly, we'd like to also announce that the government of Taipei and China have agreed on a roadmap to unification. China and Taipei in a few years will become a united country again. We strongly advise all nations to recognize the reunification of China. That is all.
Thank you. The UN acknowledges the speaker from Saudi Arabia.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. You look great. Have lost some weight. I publicly announce that my kingdom and people are forced to withdraw from the nuclear proliferation treaty. The kingdom of Saudi Arabia and all our Muslim allies, such as Iran and Pakistan, are threatened from multiple sides by multiple nuclear powers. We will do everything we can to defend our people. We do not want war, but we are ready for anything. Saudi Arabia is integrating the Arab people of Yemen into Arabia. The former government was an ultra-corrupt Western puppet government that let the people die. Saudi Arabia will greatly increase the quality of life in the Middle East. Already, the quality of life in Yemen is increasing, and this is just the beginning. We want stability. That's why we told Turkey to not start the war against Syria. The world doesn't want to see that, just like the world doesn't want to see that we want to overthrow Saddam Hussein back then, and we worked for peace between Pakistan and India. It is a current anti-Islam campaign that want to weaken us, the Islamic world, but they will not succeed. The Muslim world stands united. It would be foolish for India, Russia, or anyone else to worsen the relationships with the Muslim world. We see this as a betrayal, even though we did a lot for peace. Nothing will prevent or harm the unity of the Muslim world. I proclaim the Muslim League, the official alliance of the Islamic nations. Any attack against us will be an attack against us all. Allahu Akbar, and thanks.
We call upon the speaker from India. It is with great sadness yet again that I must condemn warmongers so close to home. As many of you know, Pakistan declared war upon India merely around a year ago when they shot down jets in Kashmiri airspace and shelled and killed many lives of Indian service members. Thankfully, as soon as India made itself willing to engage in full-scale war, which I suspect they did not think would happen, they went to the peace table and have offered reparations and acknowledged that they made hostile acts. It appears that their military warmonger alliance, including Iran and Saudi, has continued these actions as Saudi Arabia took unilateral military action and occupied, annexed, and slaughtered Yemeni civilians in their desire for greed and power. We condemn it utterly. As you know, the BRICS agreement was historically only an economic alliance, but given recent actions, it has taken on a political wing, and as such will begin to reflect the unified viewpoint of the major Eastern powers, including Brazil, India, China, Russia, South Korea, and perhaps in the future Ukraine. We condemn utterly these hostile acts we are seeing from this terrorist warmonger alliance in the Middle East, and hope that they will see the light and no longer take such hostile action. We also call upon the United States to reconsider their holdings in Micronesia, territory which should be under the control of Indonesia. India is a nation committed to economic development, peace, and security. We must ensure that we do not allow such hostile actions as we have seen from Pakistan and Saudi Arabia to continue. Thank you for your time. We have 3 texts. We have almost nothing. We have basic warheads. We'll have to start to change research to get that ahead. I'm going to change research on pesticides to nuclear weapons. We're going to go all the way down thermonuclear warheads and be prepared to respond. I am also going to approve the construction of several new nuclear facilities in order to facilitate more nuclear materials so that we can continue to grow our nuclear stockpiles. It is unfortunate that we will have to respond in kind, but it is necessary for the protection of our nation and our people.